Mentions Russell Reynolds is a global executive search firm. We also do a lot of leadership advisory work, and I'll talk a bit about how our market is changing and how we're seeing that advisory part of our business grow and grow. I wasn't planning to spend too much recapping on the crisis. I suspect we're all sufficiently scarred with the shock and fear that the crisis gave all of us in professional services. But I did want to touch on how we experience the crisis through our clients and senior hiring in particular, and engagement with our clients, and then some of the themes we're seeing in the aftermath of the crisis and how we see the crisis has changed the landscape around leadership and leadership requirements for the future. And to some extent, I think executive search is seen more than most industries as a bellwether of confidence in the market. So you can imagine that drop was pretty severe for a period of time in the crisis. And it's fascinating to us that we're now seeing a bounce that's much stronger than any of us could have expected, and we're significantly above pre-COVID levels now in our volumes around the world. And I'll talk a bit about why I think that might be. So in terms of our experience through the crisis, the really fascinating feature for us was that clients adapted and continued with senior hiring projects in a way that we just never expected them to. As the crisis was hitting us, our assumption, and it was the wrong assumption looking back, was that boards wouldn't hire CEOs, CEOs wouldn't hire executive committee members, and chairmen for sure couldn't be hired if people couldn't see each other. And while we went through a few months of trying to figure all of this stuff out, the reality is a large number of our projects were completed even during the depths of lockdown around the world. And the adaptation we saw in our clients is that they prove willing to make what might seem fairly risky and certainly very important decisions on senior leaders without meeting them in person. So this sounds a fairly basic concept, but for us in the industry, this was a huge revelation. And before we went into this crisis, none of us had imagined that significant leadership appointments would be made by boards without meeting candidates. Now, boards got really creative in trying to see candidates in any way they could. But even so, really substantial hiring progress was made through the crisis by clients across all of our sectors. And I suspect that will shape how we all engage with candidates in the future and how we think about hiring decisions. And as I reflect on that period where people couldn't meet each other, there's something missing, no doubt, in the chemistry and the feeling you get when you're in person. But it did push our clients to have to interview in a more robust way. That might seem odd. And what do I mean behind that? If you're not getting some of these additional signals of being in person with executives, potentially you need to dig a bit deeper on evidence around performance, dig a bit deeper on signals that show indicators on culture fit. So we noticed our clients, if it was chairman interviewing CEOs, if it was CEOs interviewing executive team members, we noticed that our clients were needing to work that much harder and dig maybe that much harder in a Zoom type environment rather than when they were in person. But it was just this phenomenal period for us of adaptation for our clients to a new world. What does it mean for the future, and what are some of the themes we're seeing around leadership globally? I'll start maybe with the themes that we're seeing, and then we can talk about the way certain effective advisory work will be delivered. There are three themes that come to mind that we see as accentuated post-crisis. These were all themes that were pretty important pre-crisis rather, but they're all been accentuated, and the light shone on them post-crisis. One theme is around sustainability. There isn't a board in the land or a CEO in the land who is not interested in talking to us around sustainable leadership right now. The phone is metaphorically ringing off the hook with clients wanting conversations with us about what does it mean to have a sustainable lead? What does it mean to have sustainable leadership? What do sustainable leaders look like? What's the culture look like of an organization that's sustainable? And we all know about some of the legislation that's coming in UK PLCs that will impact this. But the shift is much deeper. The shift is coming from private equity firms who are highly engaged with us, particularly the large funds, on sustainability. and I'm quite sure this is going to be a theme that will stay with us. It feels like this is not a flash in a pan. This is a substantial shift in leadership for the next generation. We can all make guesses as to why COVID has exaggerated this as a theme and made it more important, but I think it's an undeniable shift that we're seeing around leadership at the moment. A second connected topic that has become accentuated post-crisis, and again, for good reason, of course, is here to stay, is DE&I. We went into a crisis where diversity and inclusion was recognised as an important theme in leadership and governance. We came out of the crisis recognising that it's absolutely critical to organisations' success and survival. And it's partly George Floyd, but I think it's broader than that. It's a huge wake-up call to boards around the world to change the way they think about the cultures and environments in their companies and how they hire and the type of cultures they need to build for the future. Now, I would argue that sustainability and DE&I are so interconnected that you could almost describe them as the same topic. But those are two themes that have come through enormously strongly. A third theme, and this was a theme that's been with us for a long time, and whoever coined the phrase "every company is a technology company" was onto something. Technology transformation, as a third theme, I would highlight, has been certainly accentuated and exaggerated post-crisis. Every client we work with, and I probably am not exaggerating by saying every client, is concerned about whether or not they have the leadership and capability in their organization to take advantage of the technology advancements that Devyani was just talking about, and also to fend off the huge threats that technology is creating for boards. And you only have to look at the changing composition of boardrooms in the UK and the types of hires that chairmen are making onto their boards with technology expertise and digital knowledge to recognise that this issue, the importance of this issue, is recognised. Scarcity of talent was threaded through Richard's poll. One of the big challenges for our clients around technology transformation is the scarcity of leadership talent to transform companies. It's difficult for me to mention specific client situations, but we've had companies in the industrial sector, in the automotive sector, in the consumer sector, who really are reinventing their business through new leadership in technology. The old world of a CIO fixing the plumbing for the organization and being worried about infrastructure has been turned on its head. And we're starting to see a generation now of CEOs who have grown from being technology leaders, either in their organization or in other organizations, now leading scale companies. And if I was going to predict the future, I would say in 10 years' time, we will probably see some of the technology leaders who have disrupted positively organizations and driven some of this change in the way organizations use data and digital and change consumer experiences. I think we'll see some of those leaders be the CEOs of the future across all kinds of industries. So for us, sustainability, DE&I, and technology transformation are all themes that have gathered even more pace post-crisis, and I'm totally convinced are here to stay. If I think about the change of the industry through the crisis at a more practical level, there is a question mark as to whether, and it sounds a basic point, but it's important, whether clients will continue to want to engage and meet candidates in the way that they did pre-crisis. Will the convenience of Zoom take over? And will the type of engagement we're used to when we make people decisions shift? Maybe it will. There are lots of different predictions there. I'm not going to claim that I would know where this is all going to land. That's a question that we talk about. Will location become less important? And it's fun for all of us to read in the press how leaders around the world are thinking about the new hybrid work pattern, and plenty of emotional views all over the place, certainly in our organisation, about what might be the right or the wrong approach around that stuff. If we are going into an era where there is less concentration of people in an office environment, or concentration of people in an office environment less regularly, doesn't mean your leaders can be in different places. Certainly, we are seeing a trend towards clients being far more open-minded on where people are based, particularly for roles that are scarce and difficult to hire for. So if you're an automotive company looking for chief technology officer to transform the way that you're taking your products to your customers. And maybe that chief technology officer that you found the perfect candidates in Singapore and not in Frankfurt, would you consider hiring them? Maybe. Time difference would be difficult, but maybe would you consider hiring that leader in London, even if you're a Munich headquartered car manufacturer? Maybe that's a change. It tends to, the flexibility around hiring locations tends to be in these hotspots where talent is scarce. Security officers is another one.